Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at a band never heard of before. They are a fairly new band. They contacted me a short while ago asking me if I'd have a look at the new track that they had released, and tried to do a little bit of searching for information about the band. There's very little information. What I can tell you is, first of all, I need to tell you the name of the band. The band is called Carnareum. And what information I have found for them is they are a 4-piece melodic death metal band formed in 2019 in Stockholm, Sweden. All 4 of the members, as I understand it, have all been in various bands since they were kids. Last year they released their first album, Field of Terrors even. That was released last year. They do have, I think they had like a single or maybe even a demo came out before that. And the band has been compared to Amon Amarth and Children of Bodom. Now, both of those bands are quite different. Amon Amarth and Children of Bodom are quite different bands, really, when you compare them. So, not sure what that's going to be like. Anyway, we're going to be looking at a track called Carousel. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any lyrics available for this track. I've had the video described to me by one of the members of the band that contacted me. It sounds quite unusual. So we'll jump into this track and see what we've got. So this is Carousel by Carnareum. I hope I'm pronouncing the band name right there. So let's have a look.
As you lie there paralyzed, can you feel his finger running down your veins? Down your veins! It can go round and round and round. Nowhere to hide, you cannot run. You wake up deep beneath the ground. Let's take a ride, it will be fun. It can go
There you go. Carousel by Carnareum. I have to be very honest here. That was uninspired, I think is the word I'm looking for. I mean, they can obviously play. There's obviously some sort of talent going on there, but it was just boring. There's nothing exciting about that piece of music at all. You know, it was very uninspired. Now, how that compares to other tracks of theirs, I don't know. You know, the rest of the album might be really, really interesting and really exciting. I don't know, but that track was just... you know, I wouldn't care if that sort of thing was playing in the background. You know, you'd be just sort of sound in the background, fine. I wouldn't be offended by listening to it, but it's not a band where I'd go, oh, what's that? Who's this band? I need to go out and listen to some more of their stuff. It's just... it's there. It's not exciting. There's nothing in there to go, yes, this is a great piece of music. It's just... yes, this is music. Yeah, that's it. Now, obviously, like I said at the beginning, I don't have any lyrics for this track, so I can't really talk that in depth about it. But as you can tell, the video was a little bit unusual, and what I will explain is the fact that, for the most part, the video was a dream. One of the band members wakes up in his dream for some reason as a woman and is being chased down by the rest of the band who are out to kill him. And when he eventually wakes up at the end of the dream, he wakes up as himself, but all the rest of the band members, as their murderous personas in his dream, have followed him through into the waking world and want to kill him in the real world. That's what I can tell you about the video. That's how it was explained to me. But I mean, the video kind of looks like... it kind of looks like your friendly local metal band filming at their grandparents' house. And essentially, that's kind of what this was. It was also explained to me that this video was filmed at one of the band members' grandparents' house outside Uppsala, I believe they said it was, before his grandparents had to sell the property due to old age and not being able to maintain it. So there's a lot of... I can't think of the word I'm looking for. There's a lot of the sort of amateur feel to the video, you know, and, you know, that might be done intentionally because, I mean, it is quite a silly video, obviously. They're not taking themselves too seriously. But the look of the video, the sound of the band, you know, the kind of music, it sounds like... it's kind of like that sort of band you create when you're in high school. You know, and you just get a whole bunch of mates around you and go, we're going to make a band, and then you make one bad homemade video with one song that is probably taking you like 3.5 years to write. You release that, you play it live, someone's out of tune, that sort of thing, you know. It sounds like that sort of thing. I could very well be wrong. I don't know what the rest of their music sounds like. That is the only track of theirs I've heard. But, not impressed, unfortunately. Like I said, though, I'd have to hear more of their music, and I've always said, you know, I'd rather listen to... you know, I need to listen to more than one example of a band's work in order to get an idea of who they are and what they sound like. Because, like I said, this could be an outlier of a track. Other tracks of theirs might be absolutely amazing. They might have more energy behind them, but this... I have no idea. I mean, it says they said that they were compared to the likes of Amon Amarth and Children of Bodom. I didn't get any of that at all from that track. And, you know, I think I own pretty much everything by Amon Amarth, and I do have a fair chunk of Children of Bodom's music as well, so I am very familiar with those bands. But they are not bands I would compare to this one at all. You know, whether it be sound-wise or the like. You know, I see nothing of those two bands in this one. But like I said, they're obviously talented. You know, they obviously can play. They obviously can perform. But there's just something really lacking in it for me. And I don't want to beat them up and tear them apart, but, you know, I've also got to be honest. There's just something very low energy and almost half-hearted about this track. And I'll have to hear something else by them to, you know, get a more rounded picture of their material. But going by this track alone, not very good. But I'm going to leave that at that, because I can't really say anything else about them. So, yeah. If anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to them, please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would of course be a great help to me, because all of the material I upload to this channel gets immediately demonetized, which is quite frustrating. So, you know, I make absolutely nothing from any of the stuff that I create for this channel, and, you know, it's kind of annoying, because, you know, I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos, and, you know, whilst I think it's fair that the bands do get recognition for the fact that I'm using their material, that's fair enough. The fact that they get all of it, I don't necessarily agree with, because I'm not using their material through the entirety of the video. And, you know, like I said, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this, and everything is getting taken. That's... I don't agree with that. But, you know, that's just the way it is. So, you know, if you'd like to help to support this channel, which, you know, I would very, very much appreciate, that would be great. There is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue if you should so desire it. There is a limit on how frequently you can do that, however, and that's just to be fair to people who suggest tracks through more regular means, such as Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram comments. And if you do suggest a track through those more regular means, do know it could take me quite a while to get around to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get to it. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes, and one of the main facets of that is hate crimes against people of the alternative culture. And that is something I believe in very, very strongly, something I am very, very passionate about, because it's something that always gets ignored. It's something that sort of gets brushed aside and sort of just treated as not an issue. But the thing is, it is a very big issue. It's a very real issue. This has been going on for decades, but people just refuse to acknowledge this fact. You know, for years, people from the alternative community have been getting violently attacked just because of the fact that they listen to alternative music and wear alternative fashion. And, you know, we're not just talking about insults being shouted across the street or getting shoulder rammed or anything like that. We're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting violently, brutally attacked, getting hospitalised with broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries, just simply for their taste in music and clothing. And, you know, this goes on all around the world on a daily basis. You know, and, you know, every day we hear about all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear about these on a daily basis. You know, from the most heinous and violent of these crimes where someone is brutally murdered because of the colour of their skin, their sexual identity or their religious beliefs, down to the most petty of these crimes where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. You know, we hear these on a daily basis, but we never hear anything about these people that are getting beaten to within an inch of their life just because of the music that they listen to or the clothing that they wear. The last time we heard anything about that was about 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people, where they were beaten, punched, kicked, knocked to the ground and had their heads stamped on so violently that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive the attack. He was in a coma for about a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer. I can't remember exactly how long, but he survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and she was beaten to death by a group of people just simply because they didn't like the fact that she listened to different kind of music and wore different kind of clothing to them. Now, when this happened, this was all over the news, as rightfully it should have been. And, you know, this was getting talked about quite frequently for several weeks. And, you know, as all things do, you know, more news stories came in, and this story fell into obscurity. But in the 14 years since that's happened, we've not heard anything similar. But I know for a fact there have been similar attacks in that time. Just a couple of years ago, there was a young woman in Scotland who was running a charity gig, and she, during the night, had to go back to her home for whatever reason, which was a 5-minute walk away from the venue. And in the time between leaving the venue and getting to her home, she was attacked twice, again, by a group of people. And she was again beaten, punched, kicked, knocked to the ground, and brutally and violently assaulted twice. This wasn't in the news. Now, thankfully, a passing taxi driver put a stop to her assault. So, you know, she managed to survive the attack. But the taxi driver didn't stop to see if she was okay. He just moved on. She didn't get help until she got back to the venue where she was hosting the gig. But again, this was not in the news. Now, I can walk to Scotland from where I live. And I didn't hear a thing about this until a friend of mine told me about it. And the only reason he knew about it is the fact that he was friends with the person who was attacked. Now, if that had been anybody else, if that had been someone from the LGBTQ community, that would have been all over the news. If that had been racially motivated, if it had been the colour of their skin, it would have been all over the news. If that had been a lone woman attacked by a group of men, that would have been all over the news. But as it was, this was a young woman getting attacked by a group of random people that she didn't even know. But because she was from the alternative community, nothing was said. Didn't hear a thing about it. Now, if that taxi driver hadn't stopped the assault when he had, who's to say that she wouldn't have ended up dead? Who's to say that she wouldn't have ended up in the same way as Sophie Lancaster? Then it would have been all over the news. And that's just unacceptable. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before something gets said. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before something gets done. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to raise more awareness of the fact that this sort of thing is happening, that this sort of thing is going on, and that it is a very big and very real problem. And something needs to be done. Because if we keep ignoring it the way that we are, it's only a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens again, and we just simply cannot allow that. Sophie Lancaster is not the first person to lose their life over something so trivial. She's not the first person from the alternative community to be beaten to death, to be brutally murdered just because of her taste in music and clothing. And if we carry on ignoring it the way we are, it's only a matter of time before it happens again, and we just simply can't allow that. You know, if these attacks were happening for any other reason, you know, if it was racially motivated, if it was because of someone's sexual identity, if it was because of someone's religion, whatever, if it was anything else, there'd be a huge outcry and something, you know, that something should be done. But because these are people from the alternative community, no one seems to care. And that's unacceptable. Just because we listen to different music and wear different clothing doesn't mean we are exempt from, you know, justice. We shouldn't have to fear leaving our houses for fear that we might, you know, get beaten to within an inch of our lives. It's not right. So, you know, something needs to be done, and this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. Because they don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. You know, we can't allow what happened to Sophie Lancaster to happen again. It should never have happened in the first place. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there's a link to the website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, or maybe even one of those, they've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff over on their web store, you know, but the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Let's take a ride, it won't be fun. It can go